Welcome to the video. In this video, we're going to take a little look at equivalent fractions. So, the word equivalent describes two or more things that have the same value. When it comes to fractions, this means two or more fractions that have got the same value as well. We can see below a brief example of this. 1/2 is the same as 2/4, is the same as 3/6, and so on. They are all equivalent to 1/2. Now, as we look at this, we can also see that what we're doing to the top, we're also doing to the bottom. So in this case, uh, 1/2 to 2/4, we have doubled the top, and therefore we need to double the bottom. 1/2 becomes 3, 2 becomes 6. Because what we do to the top, we do to the bottom. In this case, we're timesing both of them by 3. And 1/2 is the same as 4/8, sorry. So we've multiplied the top by 4, we've multiplied the bottom by 4 also. When working with equivalent fractions, we have a rule that's really useful to remember. And that is that what we do to the top, we must also do to the bottom and vice versa. We've got an example of this at work just down below. 2/5 is equal to 4 over something. And we can work out what that missing number is quite simply by determining what we've multiplied 2 by to get to 4. Well, in this case, it's times by 2, isn't it? So we times the top by 2, and therefore we need to times the bottom by 2 as well. So this is going to give me 4 over 10. Let's take a look at the second example. In this example, we can see we've got 9 over 18 is equal to something over 6. We've got to find the something. So all we're going to do is we're going to look at the 18. We're going to decide how 18 has changed in order to get to 6. Well, in this case, we have not multiplied. We've actually divided. And it would have to be 18 divided by 3 to get to 6. So therefore, we have to do the same to the top. We have to divide by 3 there. Of course, 9 divided by 3 is 3. Let's look at a third example. In the third example, we've got the blank on the left-hand side instead of the right, but this does not change anything at all. Okay, we're looking at the 5 and the 10. We're going to see what the relationship is between those two numbers. And we can see that 5 would have to be times by 2 in order to get 10. Therefore, we must times the 2 at the top by 2 as well, which will give me 4 over 10 in this particular case. So remember, equivalent fractions are two or more fractions that all have the same value. In order to find an equivalent fraction, we need to remember the rule that what we do to the top, we must also do to the bottom. Here's a different kind of question. We need to rewrite both of these fractions so that they have a common denominator. What does this mean? Well, it means find a equivalent fraction of 2/3 and a equivalent fraction of 9/12 so that they both have the same bottom number. I'm going to choose 12 as my common denominator. Because I've chosen 12, it means I don't have to rewrite this fraction at all. I can leave it alone. But on the 2/3, all I have to remember is to times this by 4, which will give me 12 at the bottom. And times the top by 4 as well, because remember what I do to the top, I must do to the bottom and vice versa. So we have 8 and 8/12 and 9/12. Three, two, one, go. Similar sort of situation, same question, different fractions. So for this one, I can't change just one fraction. I have to change both of them. I'm going to choose to change these to 14. The reason I'm doing that is because if I take this fraction here and just times it by the bottom of this fraction, I will get 14. So it's nice and simple. And if I take this fraction here, times it by the bottom of this fraction, again, I get 14. Nice and simple. So 3/7 times 2 is going to give me 6. So 3 times 2 is 6. 7 times 2 is 14. So 3/7 is equivalent to 6/14, or 6/14 is equivalent to 3/7. Let's take a look at that second fraction. So I'm going to do 7 times 2 to give me 14, and I'm going to do 7 times 1 to give me 7. So 1/2 is the same as 7/14, or we could say 7/14 is the same as 1/2 because they are equivalent to each other. Let's take a look at another one of these. This is our final example. We can see we've got 2/5 and 2/3. Okay, so I'm going to multiply all of this by the bottom of this fraction here. So 3 times 2 is going to give me 6 on the top. 3 times the 5 is going to give me 15. So remember, 3 times 2, 3 times 5. Okay, let's take a look at the second fraction. So again, this time I'm going to do 5 times the 2 and 5 times the 3. So 5 times the 2 is 10. 5 times the 3 is 15. So we have a common denominator. Okay. So the number at the bottom is the same in both fractions. 6/15 is a equivalent fraction of 2/5. 10/15 is an equivalent fraction of 2/3, and now they both have an equivalent, or rather a common denominator.